usually he'll start feeling bad for me. Oh, mommy, I'm sorry. Can I make you a coffee right now? And I can help you. And then he's able to it's okay to feel disappointment. It's okay to feel this way. Oh, friends, despite our best intentions, sometimes we let our kids down. That's not fun for anyone, but sometimes it's just life.
Don't worry, if that's you, you're not alone. And today on A Home That Heals, how God can use disappointment in your family's life. It's funny how a week can be marked by really great things and then really disappointing things all in one. And we really had a week like that, didn't we?
We did. Oh, we had a super exciting week when our baby alpaca was born. And if you haven't seen that, a little plug, you've got to go over to YouTube. We have some cute videos of her first moments, but it was a whirlwind. First baby alpaca we've ever had on our little ranch farm life that we have out on Barefoot Bluff. And that led to some pretty disappointing things that happened in our kids' life too.
Yeah, they just, they were excited about the baby, of course, but when that destroyed some of their hopes for the week, it was really not good. First thing, the baby alpaca came on a Sunday morning, all of them ready to go to church. You ran out to check, I guess, on the baby. I was already at church.
Yeah, my morning church routine is to make sure all the kids are ready and then I get ready. So kids were all ready. We're good to go. Mom just has to get ready. I'm going to go check on Mama Alpaca real quick, and then I'm going to go get ready for church. Well, I go out, and the baby is coming. And we couldn't leave. You weren't here on the ranch, and you were at church. I had to call you and pull you out of church.
And I had to walk out of church, which was so hard. But anyway, that's another story.
So hard. But my kids were so disappointed. And two in particular, church, they love going to church. And that's the best thing ever, right? For your kids to be super disappointed that they can't go to church. But they were in tears. They just couldn't understand. They couldn't quite get it. And if there was any way that I could have figured out how to get them there and, help with the baby alpaca, I would have. But it just wasn't going to happen.
No. And then on top of that, so the first few days of a baby alpaca's life, as we found out, you're pretty busy. I mean, you've kind of got to keep an eye on them and make sure everything is going okay. And so the following day, your dad and I had a date all planned with one of our kiddos, and he had been looking forward to it. It was for his birthday, so it wasn't his birthday, but we had given it to him.
Kind of his gift.
His
birthday gift.
Yeah, his birthday gift. And we couldn't go, and he was so disappointed, and I felt so bad. But there, it really wasn't a lot we could do because we couldn't go. It was an all-day thing. We couldn't really go and do that and really enjoy it. And so he had to learn a big lesson about that kind of a disappointment. And it just seems like it kind of snowballed from there, didn't it?
It did. It really, I think it was after those two major things that the kids were in tears. And they were, you love the baby alpaca more than me.
Oh, no.
They were just heartbroken. Yeah. And it was so hard to help them see that was not true. And they were getting excited about the baby alpaca, so much so they wanted to make alpaca cookies. I mean, they got all the ingredients. They made sure that we were ready to have, all the stuff out to bake these alpaca cookies because they were excited about the baby. And then again, life.
Whoever invented making sugar cookies anyway? I mean, it's a process and it takes time and it takes, really some forethought to get the stuff out so that it's softened before you make the dough and all the stuff that goes with it and the mess that it makes and on and on and on.
You and I just are not good.
No, we're not.
With that kind of stuff. We
really
are not natural bakers. Some of you are like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I could just whip it out and just start making sugar cookies. It's an ordeal for us.
Yeah, everything seems to be harder than it should be. But yeah, so suffice it to say, one disappointment upon another. And then, you feel bad as a grandparent, as a parent, we hate to disappoint our kids or let them down.
Mm-hmm. It's, I don't really feel bad when it's one disappointment. It's like, okay, come on, Buttercup. Like, we got to get you. This is life,
right?
But it is when it's one after another. causes you to pause and think about, okay, how do we help our kids manage disappointment? Because I don't know, I sit there and I look at my kids feeling so disappointed, and I see myself. There's a lot of times in life where it's just been disappointment after disappointment, and it's really hard to not get caught in that negative cycle and just that negative mind frame. And I know that's not where God wants us to be. I know He doesn't want us focused on the things that are disappointing us in life. He wants us focused on His blessings that He's pouring over us. And so I think this last cycle of disappointment in our kids' lives really caused us to dig deep and think, okay, how can we help our kids with this? Because they're going to face it in life. We can't shelter them from it. We can't make sure we never disappoint them. That's not a reality.
No, it's not. And I think one of the things you said to me, the kids felt like you'd broken a promise when you couldn't take them to church that Sunday morning. And I think children sometimes get their hopes and expectations all wrapped up in, oh, well, that was a promise. And wow, it's sort of hard to teach kids that things happen. And yes, the plan was, every best intention we had was to go to church, but sometimes, rarely, something happens that makes that impossible. And that's a tough lesson for all of us, really.
Yeah, I was taken aback a little bit at how the kids really, really felt that I had lied to them. That's specifically what they said. You lied to us. And, as a mom, you don't want your kids to think that you are sitting here lying to them all the time. Other than when you forget to put the money under their pillow for the tooth fairy and you say that she was busy that night. But aside from that, you really don't want your kids to feel like you lie to them. So that kind of hurt my mama heart, and I wanted to help them see that there's a big difference. And this is a good lesson, because there are times that people are going to promise you that they'll do something, or say that they're going to do something, but life happens and circumstances change. And that doesn't mean that they were malicious about it or that they didn't have every intention of following through. But you have to learn to take that, and you can be disappointed, but not go as far to feel like that person is a liar and they are lying to you and they're out to get you,
But on the flip side of that, and your dad and I really had to talk about this, we kind of had a pattern, I think, of telling the kids we would do something and then not being able to follow through because we hadn't done what we needed to do to make sure that we could follow through, Yeah. So there was a little bit of a pattern there. And I don't think we've done it over months and years, but there were a few weeks where it just seemed like every time we try to do something that we had told the kids, oh, let me just tell you this. So we gave the kids these coupons at Christmas time. And one was a coupon, we'll take you to ice cream. And one was a coupon, we'll go to the park. And, we had all these coupons. Well, they all discovered their coupons months later and suddenly wanted to cash in. And so we were like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And then it was like, oh my goodness,
there's not enough time in the day.
There just wasn't enough time. Yeah. And so I think that pattern had started to set in. And I do think you have to kind of look at yourself and say, okay, have I been letting them down? Is that becoming a pattern? Am I not putting that in its right place too? Because it is important for kids to know that you will follow through. So here was kind of what I thought. Let's just take the alpaca cookie thing, for example. We had planned on doing that as sort of a way to, the baby was born over the 4th of July, and so we were going to do red, white, and blue alpaca cookies and celebrate the 4th. And my initial thing was, okay, well, 4th of July is over with, so the alpaca cookie idea goes out the window. And I think you're the one that said, oh, no, we've still got all the stuff. Let's still do it. And I thought, well, yeah, kids could care less. They don't care if it's the 4th of July cookies or not.
Yeah.
So we did do it. And we had a blast. Or I should say, we endured it. They had a blast.
Yeah, we spent way more time decorating and enjoying it than the kids did. However, again, it was the follow through.
Yeah.
So it showed them, you know what, you were looking forward to this, you were anticipating it. And even though it's not happening on the 4th of July, we're still going to make it happen. We're still going to follow through on it.
Yeah.
And it might mean that you guys decorate 4 of them and we decorate 20 of them, but Great. I'm so glad you had fun.
Yeah, well, they really did have fun. It's funny how they love doing that. So I think following through, making sure it's not a pattern of disappointment that could be avoided, I think is important just from our standpoint. But then another thing is, I think modeling how to handle disappointment. I don't know that I really ever thought about actually talking about when I'm disappointed, in something that didn't turn out that I was looking forward to. But I do think it could be really a great way to let your kids see that, yeah, you know what? I do. I trust in the Lord. I know that his ways are higher than my ways. Goes back to biblical truth. I know, like the verse, I love the one verse that says, do you not know, have you not heard, the Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And that kind of goes to your point. You know what? Okay, we're disappointed, but this isn't the end of the story. God has bigger plans. God has always everything. We are in his sight, and he knows when we're disappointed, and we can tell him, I was really hoping for this, and I wanted this to happen, and it didn't. Well, God knows, and he'll give us strength, and he'll help us renew our strength.
And sometimes it's easier to move on from that disappointment once you have called it out. I have one kiddo that it for sure, if he's disappointed and I just try to get him to switch gears and think about happy things and, get focused on the good in his life, he cannot get unstuck. But if I look at him and I say, oh, buddy, I know how that feels. I was really disappointed when, I thought that I was going to get to have my coffee this morning, and that didn't end up happening because all the chores had to get done. So I get that feeling. It's not fun. He will usually just melt into my arms, give me a hug, and usually he'll start feeling bad for me. Oh, mommy, I'm sorry. Can I make you a coffee right now? And I can help you. And then he's able to just, okay, it's okay to feel disappointment. It's okay to feel this way. But I don't have to, again, isn't that what we want to teach our kids? I don't have to live here. Like, I don't have to live in my sorrow. I don't have to live in my disappointment. I don't have to live in my anger. I can recognize it, understand that I'm feeling that way. But then what I am called to do as a follower of Jesus is to get my eyes refocused on him. And if that's getting in the word, if that's praying, if that's just calling out to your Father and telling him you're disappointed and I need help to get focused. Help me see your goodness. Help me see the good gifts that are just surrounding me right now. Then that's what we got to do, because we don't need to live there. We don't need to wallow in our disappointment. And so modeling that for our kids is really important.
It is. And I think that goes back to something we've talked about before, praying for joy. Disappointments lead to unhappiness. We're unhappy that something didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it has to steal our joy. And so asking God, just like you said, to get us refocused, help us move on, help us to see the higher good and to find joy in every situation, then I don't know, seems like things go better. It's a better way to have a home that heals.
It is. And realizing that disappointment is a good thing. Disappointment is a good lesson. We learn God teaches us to be resilient through it. God teaches us to draw closer to him through it. God has so many lessons to teach us through disappointment, and helping our kids see that, is very important in creating a home that heals, because our homes are not healing when we're all just disappointed and grumpy and angry. And our kids aren't able to really feel whole and safe if we're continually disappointing them and not following through on our word either.
Exactly.
So good balance.
And I'm happy to report that the kids have forgiven the baby alpaca. And so if you'd like to see this baby alpaca, because she is darling. By the way, her name, fitting with her birth, is Liberty Bell. And I think we're calling her Libby. Is that what we settled on?
I call her Libby sometimes I also call her, because we called her Baby for so long. I call her Baby Bell, which I realize is a cheese.
I know. I thought of that the other day.
I kind of need to quit calling her that. But no, we love her name. We love this little alpaca. And on YouTube, we have the cutest videos of her and her first moments and her birth. So I hope you'll hop on over there and look at them. Share them with your friends. If they just need to look at something cute and smile and laugh, I hope that you'll send that their way, because I bet it would cheer them up and help them to have a much better day looking at our little Liberty Bell.
Yeah, they're pretty irresistible. Well, we want to thank KTSY. Love that they sponsor this podcast and allow us to just share what God is doing in our home. And we love the fact that you share with us how God is at work in your home. So please keep that up. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And let's create homes that heal.
A Home That Heals is produced in partnership with 89.5 KTSY. To find out more about them, go to ktsy.org.